Hello and welcome to another edition of the Osceola's First Impressions. I'm Pat Burnham and I'm with Bob Ferrante outside a very muggy Florida State practice field for practice. Number 18 is complete for the Seminoles. It was what Mike Norvell called a Wednesday in season practice, something we will see on Wednesdays once they get the game week. But this was a Wednesday game week practice, and Mike came out and said he thought it was a really good practice. Bob, I think we saw some back and forth. The offense started hot in the 2-minute drill to start practice. DJ U had some very nice completions downfield in that drill, drove the first team offense down for what would have been a game-winning field goal. Then we saw Brock come in, had some struggles early with that drive, but ended up finishing that drive off with a nice pass that set up a field goal. And just what were your thoughts on the practice itself?
I think that was the sharpest we saw DJ in any one kind of period in recent weeks. Good glimpse of what he can do in that hurry up against the Buffs. Obviously a really good defense. I thought overall, Mike Norvell praising the receivers. They had some issues throughout camp. This was a very good day. I thought Kentron Portier had some drops, had one where he really could have brought in one. He tried to one-hand grab it, but made some really nice contested catches in 11-on, in 1-on-1. If you're starting to look at who are those candidates, who's dependable at receiver, you can start to pencil in beyond Malik Benson. I think a Ja'Kai Douglas, a Kentron among those.
Yeah, in fact, Mike said that today that he felt like the receivers had their best week of practice over the period of camp, and he mentioned Malik Benson, Darion Williamson, Kentron Portier, and Ja'Kai Douglas specifically, and he even mentioned that Lawrence McCoy has started to come into his own a little bit more the deeper they've gotten into camp, and we're hearing a lot. We've seen a lot of inconsistencies from the receiver group, and of course we get a lot of questions on the board and on the Seminole sidelines about the receivers, but Mike is certainly at least feeling better coming out of this week, going into what will be a mock game tomorrow at Doak Campbell Stadium. We will not be able to see that, obviously, so this is the last time we will see the Florida State football team until next week. But obviously he's done this mock game before, does it every year. What are your thoughts on the progress of this? We saw the defense come back in the first team period outside period 9, and they kind of reasserted themselves from the 2-minute drill, and so there's back and forth, which is I think what you want to see. Did you see the same thing from your perspective? Yeah,
inside that kind of red zone, that tight space. I thought the offense wasn't able really to put a lot together. Again, how much of that is really good competition against your defense? How much of that is just it's confined real estate? We've seen better days from the quarterbacks. I thought Brock looked better at times than DJ. DJ also had some great segments too. It wasn't, I'd say, consistent throughout, but good to see those battles, offense, defense.
Yeah, and I think that's been the theme of the whole entire camp. Defense looks strong just about every day. Offense has found its spots during most of the practices at some point, but some inconsistencies. At the end of the day, we're really not going to know what this offense is until we see them line up against Georgia Tech. They've certainly looked good. We feel really good about the running backs, the first team offensive line. And you feel like between DJU and Brock, they'll get it figured out at quarterback. And DJU, listen, the more he's in Mike's offense, the more Mike's going to figure out what to do with him. But he did have a better day today. We got to talk to a number of players after practice. Probably it's the first time we got to talk to Cam Riley. He talked about this being the fourth straight defensive coordinator he has worked for in 4 football seasons at the college level. So he mentioned that it's been an adjustment period just from the terminology and vernacular that Adam Fuller uses, and how that's been an adjustment, and how he kind of, if it's this word in FSU's defense, he relates it to a word in the Auburn defense, so forth and so on. But he did mention that one of the things that he really liked about Florida State's defensive philosophy with linebackers, the way they use the defensive front to free up the linebackers to go make plays. And so we'll have Cam Riley's interview on video later on the Osceola. We also got to hear from Devontae Brown, Elijah Moore, and one other person, right? Did I get everybody?
I think that's everybody.
Okay, that's everybody.
I was down with Elijah. Okay. Yeah, Elijah said the receivers came out on fire today.
Yes.
He was very, very happy. It was kind of a cute interview where he's trying to talk on camera as a freshman who hasn't been here very long. And there were a bunch of receivers behind him acting as media members, kind of nodding their heads and harassing him a little bit. But I thought Elijah did a really good job of keeping composure. He's been just a super impressive guy. It's not just the body. It's not just 6'4". It's a lot of the other things in that skill set that he can do. Coach Norvell, Coach Dugans, they're really pushing him hard to push that development. We'll see him in what capacity, but we'll see him this fall on the field.
Well, it's hard to believe camp is over. I mean, I think we're all kind of relieved. We get the day off tomorrow, it's kind of sort of. And then the team will, I believe, practice on Saturday, and they'll be off on Sunday. And Mike Norvell will have a luncheon with the media. We will be there to cover it at 3 p.m. today, live on Osceola YouTube, Osceola Facebook, my Twitter account, Osceola Pat, Kurt Weiler's Twitter account. We will go live at 3 p.m. with Seminole Sidelines, and we'll have a very special guest. Kelly Quinlan, the publisher of the Georgia Tech rival site, will join us to kind of see what he has seen from Georgia Tech and hearing about Georgia Tech and the practices that are not have not been able to see, and see what he's seen at the practice he was there for. But we would normally do this on game week, but Kelly is fitting in a trip to Italy on his way to Ireland, so he's going to have a much better weekend than most of the rest of us. But he will join us at 3 p.m. today live on Seminole Sidelines. And then Jerry Cutts is going to be with us too, and he's going to talk a little bit about the monumental effort that the operations staff of Florida State has been dealing with as they try to get this team ready to go to Ireland, including everything from passports to getting the almost the entire office and equipment room, training room loaded to go to Ireland, and they started that process yesterday. But Jerry's going to have some details on Seminole Sidelines at 3 p.m. today. We appreciate you listening, and we will see you next week with First Impressions on, I believe, Monday. And so you guys have a great weekend, and hey, football season's here.